Amen. St. Luke, the 10th chapter. Very familiar passage of Scripture that we will read in your hearing today. St. Luke, chapter 10, and we're going to commence reading with verse 25. If you have it, say amen.
Amen.
And it reads from the New International Version, again, very familiar passage. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. Teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? What is written in the law? He replied. How do you read it? He answered, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. You have answered correctly, Jesus replied. Do this and you will live. But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? In reply, Jesus said, a man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So, too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? The expert in law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, go and do likewise.
Amen.
Amen. All right, hold the Bibles up. Haven't done it in a couple of weeks, but hold them up high. Amen. This is God's word.
This is God's word.
I believe it.
I believe it.
I receive it.
I receive it.
I decree it.
I decree it.
God's word.
God's word
is a lamp unto my feet.
is a lamp unto my feet
A light unto my path.
and a light unto my path.
We are a church.
We are a church
Where everybody is somebody.
where everybody is somebody.
Jesus is Lord.
Jesus is Lord.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. You may be seated in the presence of God and the ushers. Who is our neighbor? Who is our neighbor? Who is our neighbor? Who is your neighbor? Who is your neighbor? Is your neighbor a person sitting next to you right now? Is your neighbor the person who lives across the street from you or next door to you? Is your neighbor someone who lives across town from you? Who is our neighbor? That's the question that I want to challenge you with for just a few minutes today and provide to, or endeavor to provide an answer to that question. Who is our neighbor? Dr. Zane Wesley Holmes shared the story of a village in a small country whose residence was one day down near a river. And the residents of this small village one morning or one day noticed a dead body that floated down the river. Nobody thought anything of it right away. Then the next day, those same residents, those same villagers, noticed several more bodies floating down the river, that same river.
All right.
And the villagers convened an emergency meeting, and they came to the conclusion that somebody had to go upstream to find out why these bodies were floating downstream. That, in fact, was a sermon preached by Dr. Holmes, which was entitled, "Do We Have the Courage to Go Upstream?" And so that's the context that I want to ask this question today. Who is your neighbor? Do we have the courage to go upstream and check on the well-being of our neighbors? Amen?
All right.
Do we have the courage to go upstream and check on the well-being of our neighbor? Who is our neighbor, Zion? Who is our neighbor? Well, maybe the best way to answer that question is to discuss what a neighbor used to be.
All right.
What a neighbor used to be. You see, it used to be that I'm reminded of a book that I read, or a movie that I saw, a film several years ago, which was entitled "Once Upon a Time When We Were Colored." Once upon a time when we were colored. And it used to be that a neighbor, you could sit out on the front porch.
Right.
When I was a kid, when I was a boy growing up in Texas, I remember me and neighbors are sitting on the porch with my mom, and the neighbors would come by, and we would just be sitting on the porch talking about the day's news.
Amen.
It used to be that you could go to your next door neighbor and borrow a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
I remember. Yeah.
It used to be that you could go next door and check on how your neighbor was doing. Check on what they call a welfare check.
Yeah.
It used to be that if little Johnny or little Susie started acting out of line in the neighborhood, that you could tell little Johnny and little Susie to get somewhere and sit down without fear of being cursed out.
Amen.
It used to be.
Used to be.
Right. It used to be that your neighbor would offer you a ride if you needed a ride. It used to be that your neighbor would pat you on the back. It used to be that the neighbors would pat the young people, the teenagers and the little boys and the little girls on the back and encourage them to always do better. It used to be
Say it.
that your neighbor would invite you over for Sunday dinner.
Amen.
Y'all remember that?
I remember. Yeah.
After Sunday morning service, everybody would gather at such and such house, and everybody would dine in.
Yes.
And in some ways, in some instances, church service would carry over to dinner time.
Yeah.
It used to be. That used to be. But now, in this day of Trumpism, in this day of estrangement, in this day of classism and overt racism, in this day of red versus blue, you gotta ask the question, who is my neighbor? Who's my neighbor? Who's my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? And one of the reasons why we have lost this neighbor construct, especially in the black community. Well, you know, it's a shame when you got to encourage black folk to speak to black folk.
Amen.
I got a problem with that.
Yes.
I have a major problem with somebody black not wanting to speak to somebody black. And I just got a problem with that. I'll preach another sermon on that on my way out. Once I'm not feeling it anymore, I can say what I want to say. I'll preach another sermon on that. But who, it's become the in crowd over the neighbor.
Amen.
We endeavor to hang with the in crowd instead of hanging with our so-called neighbors, our friends, our loved ones. We want to be in with the in crowd. And so we mistakenly believe that the in crowds got our back. We mistakenly believe that the in crowd, y'all know what the in crowd is, right?
Right.
The in crowd is one of the persons that we believe that if we hang with them, that we can uplift ourselves. We believe that if we hang with the in crowd, that we can find some social acceptance, and we can find some social acceleration. We can be accepted by this crowd. But guess what? It turns out that the in crowd don't really care about you.
Amen.
In fact, when you go to the in crowd and you tell them about your woes and worries, the only thing the in crowd says is, I'm glad that's not me. They don't care. They're just glad that it's not them.
Amen.
They'll sit there and they'll listen to you and go, oh, baby, I'll be praying for you. I'm going to keep you lifted up in prayer. But inside of them, they're glad that it ain't them. So the in crowd, you got to look at it like this. Look at it like this. What would Jesus do versus what will the in crowd do? What would Jesus do versus what the in crowd? You see, Jesus was not fond of the in crowd. You know that, right?
Amen.
Just look at the Gospels. Look at the Gospels. Look at every instance in the Gospels where Jesus interacted with any peoples. It was never the in crowd, unless the in crowd, like this person in the scripture here, he was a religious expert. He was the in crowd. And he wanted to test Jesus on matters relevant to theology. But Jesus was never interested. He was never fond of hanging with the in crowd.
Yes.
In fact, God is not impressed, church, with our natural affinity for the in crowd.
Amen.
Jesus hung around those who were sinners, those who were dispossessed. Jesus hung out with the locked out. He hung out with those whose futures were conscribed by the religious powers that be. He didn't have any time for the in crowd.
Amen.
And so as we ponder this question, who is our neighbor, we must look at this text here very briefly, and we'll see that what Jesus does with this parable of the Good Samaritan is that he literally holds up a mirror to all of us. Every person in this room, he holds up a mirror and he asks us to identify with one of these characters.
Amen.
You see, church, the text presents three types of people, essentially.
Yes.
So the question is, which one are you? Three types of people: robbers, hoarders, and givers. Robbers, hoarders, and givers. So it's important, Zion, that as we move through this season of transition, as we prayerfully and faithfully trust in God to select the new leader of this congregation, we have got to come to the realization of what we want to be. Remember, I keep posing these questions to you. I've been posing these questions to you since June of 2017. Who are we? Who are we becoming? And what is possible for us? So if we are going to be a servant church, and I trust that that's what we are becoming. I trust that that is what we are. We have been in 54 years of existence. We've been on this planet. Zion has been in this community for some 50 plus years as a servant church. So we must reaffirm whether we are robbers, hoarders, or givers. Then as we consider this, you can look personally, you You can hold this mirror up into your own personal life, and you can ask the same question: who is our neighbor? And the text gives us a clue here in verse 30. He gives us the first clue as to who our neighbor might be. So if you want me to answer that question now, I'll answer the question: who is my neighbor? Well, your neighbor is the person with the greatest need.
Yes. Yes.
If you know somebody, if you come across somebody who is in need, that person is your neighbor. It doesn't matter if that person lives next door to you. It doesn't matter if that person lives across the city from you. It doesn't matter if that person is on social media or not, or in person. If the person is in need, that is your neighbor.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
And so, my brothers and sisters, if you need another clue, a theological clue here as to what that person looks like, well, Jesus gives us a clue in verse 30. He says, a man was going down.
Yes.
A man was going down. That's the first clue. That's the first clue right there. Your neighbor is anybody who is in need, usually a person who is going down. And I know everybody in this room, everybody in this church today, I know that you know at least one person in your family, one person in your friend network, one person in your social network who is going down.
Amen.
Down mentally, down spiritually,
Yes.
down psychologically,
Yes.
down in all ways. You know somebody who's going down.
Yes, Lord.
That person is your neighbor. That person is in need. And so we have got to look at ourselves in this text here for just a few minutes. Are we a robber? Are we a hoarder? Or are we a giver? The first person that Jesus presents in this parable is a robber. He says that the man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. Robbers, in case you don't know this, the creed of the robber is, what's yours is mine.
That's right. That's right.
That's the creed that they live by. What's yours is mine.
Yes.
So let me let you in on a little secret here. Do you not know that everybody who's robbing you is not necessarily a stranger?
That's right.
Well, I didn't think I would get too big hands on that one. Some of you are being robbed by somebody close to you.
Yes.
Some of you are being robbed of your peace. Somebody is being robbed of your money. Somebody is being robbed of your time. Somebody is being robbed or looted by the person close to them. Yeah. Look at your circle of friends and do look at them a little bit more closely. Who's robbing you of your time? Who's robbing you of your spiritual strength? Who's always got a handout every time you come around? Who always is the person that only calls you when they need something? Everybody knows something like that, don't you? Only when they need something. You know, as soon as the phone rings and you see him and call out, he just wants some money. He wants that. Everybody's got somebody like that. Somebody who's committing robbery on your life. Yeah, you don't have to be close to somebody. You don't have to be a stranger with somebody to be robbed. Somebody, because the creed of the robber is what's yours is mine. Did y'all hear about this story about this man? His name is Johnny Bobbitt Jr. He's a homeless man in Philadelphia. And one day, this homeless man, Johnny Bobbitt Jr., came across a woman who was stranded on the freeway. He was a homeless brother, and he took the last $20 out of his wallet and he gave it to this woman to get some gas.
Yeah.
Last $20. And so this sister, as a way of thanking this homeless man who gave her his last $20, she went along with her boyfriend and she opened up a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
And eventually, the the amount on the GoFundMe page reached $400,000.
Lord.
Started on behalf of this homeless man who gave this stranded woman his last $20. But guess what? Started in there.
Yes.
As of today, this homeless brother has only received a fraction of the $400,000. And the person, the woman and the man who started the GoFundMe page have bought a BMW, taking vacations, and now the homeless brother has got to have a lawyer to give the money to him. In other words, I'm telling you, the creed of the robber is, what's yours is mine. Y'all know somebody like that?
I know.
What's yours is mine. What's yours is mine. We gotta watch the robbers. We gotta watch the robbers. We gotta watch those who pretend that they are your friend, who pretend they love you, who pretend that they want the best for you, but their motives are kind of dark. Watch those robbers. And then the second kind of person that Jesus holds up to us is the hoarder.
Yes.
You know what a hoarder is.
Yeah.
The creed of the hoarder is what's mine is mine.
That's right.
What's mine is mine. The robber says what's yours is mine. The hoarder says what's mine is mine. And there's no coincidence here that Jesus mentions a Levite and a priest, because usually in the religious context we see that the religious elite are usually those who operate by this principle, or those who call themselves the religious elite, because when you hoard Jesus Christ, those who hoard the mercy and the righteousness of God. In other words, if you are a hoarder, that means that you are not trying to share Jesus Christ with anybody.
Yes.
Jesus Christ, his love, his mercy, his trust, his companionship was not meant to be hoarded. It was meant for us to share. It is not Jesus is mine. It is, yes, he is mine, but he is yours too. Jesus is the light of the world. So this is kind of an indictment against the religious elite. And if we hold ourselves as a community of baptized believers up to this mirror, we might find that we are guilty of being a hoarder. Instead of giving, instead of sharing, instead of presenting Christ, instead of telling this community that surrounds us that Jesus is Lord, we are guilty sometimes if we're not careful. If we're not careful, we will be guilty of the same thing that this priest and this Levite did. They went the other way.
Amen.
They closed their eyes to the need. We can't do that, because we are a church where everybody is somebody. We are a church where God is the King. We are a church where Jesus is the main attraction. So when we go down the highway of life, we got to resist the urge.
Yes.
To go on the other side. And then lastly, here's what we need to be, church. Here's what we need to be. We need not to be robbers, living by the creed of what's yours is mine. We need not to be a hoarder, living by the creed of what's mine is mine. But we need, as givers, to live by the creed, what's mine is yours. Verse 33. The Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He took mercy on him. What does it mean to be a giver? What does it mean to be a servant church? What does it mean to be a giving church? It means that it connects us to that African creed, that West African proverb, I am because we are. We are because I am.
Yes.
It means that we show mercy. And what is mercy? I'm glad you asked. Mercy is compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom it is within one's power to punish or to harm. Isn't that deep? Compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone when it is within our power to punish or to harm them. I don't know about you, but I thank God for his mercy. I thank God for his mercy. I thank God for his mercy, because God's mercy means that I am standing right here today. God's mercy is the reason that I am alive. God's mercy. Yes, we are beneficiaries of God's mercy. We are beneficiaries of God's mercy. And as a result, we must extend mercy toward others. That's why Paul writes in Ephesians 4:32, forgiving one another, as God in Christ Jesus forgave you.
Amen.
You see, you've been forgiven for something.
Yes.
So it is yours to forgive others.
Amen.
Dr. Martin Luther King said that hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And so, church, here's the liberating hermeneutical theme, as Warren Stewart would say. It's this. If you have the power to show mercy, you ought to do it.
Amen.
Because mercy has been shown to you.
That's right.
Amen?
Amen.
If you have the power to show mercy, you ought to do it. And did you know that the power to forgive is the most awesome power that you have at your disposal? Did you know that a lot of people, the reason that they are experiencing physical distress, financial challenges, and all of this, the reason is because there's a person in their lives that they have not forgiven. They have not shown mercy toward. Did you know that one of the biggest reasons behind blood pressure, cancers, metabolic illnesses, depression, things of that nature, is because somebody is not displaying or releasing the power to forgive, the power to show mercy. Listen to me now. This can save your life. This can extend your life on this planet. If there's somebody in your family, somebody in your friend network, somebody that you know that you've been holding a grudge toward, you need to do the right thing and let it go. There are those here, right here in this congregation. We got some grudge matches going on right here in Zion. We got some grudges going on right here. Let it go. Let it go. This is about God. This is about God. This is about building God's kingdom. This is not about you. It's not about me. It's about being all that we can be in Jesus' name. Yes. I don't know about you, but I like our King. Longevity has its place. I like living a long life. I'm not going to go to my grave early because I couldn't forgive somebody, because I didn't have mercy towards somebody. I'm going to be like Jesus, and I'm going to show mercy. Yes. And let it go. Yes, sir. I'm closing now. Because Jesus gave his all. Jesus gave his all. Because Jesus paid it all. All to him I owe. Yes. Sin had left a crimson stain, but he washed it as white as snow. Thank God for mercy. Thank God for mercy. If you have the power to show mercy today, you got to show it, because Galatians 5:14 says, for the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor. Yes. As yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. So now you know who your neighbor is. Your neighbor is anybody who is in need. Your neighbor is anybody who's going down. And you got to look at yourself. You got to look at yourself. You got to understand. You got to understand that there was a time when you was going down. Yes, all right. But it was the love of Jesus that lifted you up. And somebody else prayed for you. Somebody else was there for you. Somebody showed you mercy. Yes. Somebody showed you mercy. And you are where you are today. Greater love no man hath than this, that a man would lay down his life for a friend. Yes, sir. Thank God for mercy. Yes. Thank God for mercy. I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore. Yeah, very deeply sleeping, but when sleeping shall rise no more. But the Master, oh thank God for mercy, y'all.
Yes.
You are here because of God's mercy. You are here today because God extended you another day
Yes, God. Yes,
to
God.
live, to be better, to love better,